It's a day of scary statistics here on GRITtv. Didn't like the welfare report we aired earlier? Well, now try this. From 2002 through June of this year, the biggest private insurance companies in the country's most populous state rejected getting on for a quarter of all claims, 21%. Joining us from the state convention of the California Nurses Association, Michael Lighty, policy director for the union. They put together this report. It sounds like death panel stuff. Michael, what are the facts?
Well, the facts is that the largest HMOs in California are denying 1 out of 5 claims, Laura. It's incredible. You've got Pacific Care, who denied 40% of the claims presented to it, and this is just in the first half of 2009. So you want to talk about hypothetical death panels. These are the real death panels, insurance companies denying claims for payment.
And who's it affecting most?
Well, it's affecting those folks who are relying upon their HMOs when they go to their medical group or their doctor who's in a medical group, and then that medical group or that doctor isn't being paid and may in fact be denying treatment that they had approved. And so the ones who are affected really are the insured, the patients who think they have insurance but may not.
Now, your report has an interesting little detail into it. In it, all of the reforms we're talking about in Congress won't take immediate effect. You show that the number of claims has sharply gone up since the debate began. How do you explain that?
Well, that's an interesting question. I'm not sure we have a clear explanation. The insurance companies don't have an explanation. They've, I think, offered about 6 for what's really going on. What we've discovered is that there is a whole category of claims called ineligible claims, and those aren't necessarily even covered by these statistics. So it's quite extraordinary, the level of denial. What we do know is that the insurance companies are on the last legs of their business model. Either they're going to get a reform program that forces everyone to buy their inferior product, or we would actually be successful in eliminating them. But in either case, they're in a scenario where their business model is failing, and I think either the denials may very well reflect that.
They're trying to get as much money out of the system that they do have before it's changed.
Exactly, and they don't know if they're going to be able to carry on these same practices once reform happens.
So as you have watched this whole death panel debate, what have you thought?
Well, I've thought that it's amazing how scare tactics based on exaggeration and fear take hold, and the facts have a much harder time. And I think that we need to shift the debate. It's not the public option we should be focused on. We should be focused on the private option, which is failing us. And that's really what I was struck by, is we've got to turn the debate back and focus on these insurance companies and how they're denying people care and ultimately killing patients.
Talk about the convention there. What's up for discussion, and how is the mood? Do people think they're going to see change sometime soon? Change that really counts?
I'm not sure optimism prevails because, you know, these are nurses who are really in the heart of the patient care crisis every day. And so they see the system's failures on the inside. I think we can say that the mood's very upbeat, though. We have 1,200 nurses. What's on the top of the agenda is laying the foundation for a new RN super union, we call it. We've got 1,200 nurses here. That union, once it's formed with the United American Nurses, the California Nurses Association, National Nurses Organizing Committee, and the Massachusetts nurses, will be 150,000 nurses strong. Today we're going to march on Senator Dianne Feinstein's house in a very Tony neighborhood in San Francisco, where we will be delivering roses with a message urging her to support the Employee Free Choice Act.
Finally, some people are seeing a thorn in those roses as the Congress finds more and more, even Democrats who had come out in support of the public option, saying, well, maybe they'll be willing to go with a plan that just has a trigger for a public option instead. What do you make of that?
Well, I think I make of it that they will do anything because they fear not doing something. And so that means that since they've abandoned, particularly progressives in Congress, real change, which would be a single-payer, publicly administered, privately delivered healthcare system, they're not doing that. They moved to the public option. Now it looks like the public option is not politically viable as they thought it was. So they're looking for some way to save face. I think it's a very bad sign.
All right, Michael, thanks so much for joining us from the California Nurses Association Convention. Michael Lighty, Policy Director. You want death panels? Check out their report. You're watching GRITtv.